Hello, hello. Right, I'll drop just oh, what have I done there? Drop the link in the comments for Avril. Avril even. Right, invite. Right, the link's there when you're ready, Avril. Hi Flop. Hi Flop. Hi Joe, how are you? Cool. Right, so hi Grace. Sorry, Avril, how are you? The link's up just above Joe's when you're ready. Cool. Right, so I've put the AC on in the living room, but I can't get it in the bedroom. So I'm going to be using matchsticks to. I should be all right. It's just started to get humid. Apart from this morning, that was perfect this morning. It's been really nice and fresh, like really nice summer weather. Right. Say hello to Avril, everybody. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. How's the weather over there? Hi,
It's actually
Penny.
a nice sunny day for once, which never happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've had the world's longest winter because it was still like freezing cold at the start of June. Usually it's super hot by then. So finally we've got some sunshine. We've had so much rain and snow and whatnot. So yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
even got some
so
sun
good.
tan going here from the weekend. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, no, thank you for joining us. Right. Hi, Luby. Right. First of all, what I'm going to do is actually, I'll do it last because I think, yeah, I'll put your link up last if that's all right,
Mm-hmm.
because I've got everything set and I'm worried that StreamYard is going to do a poop on us again. I'm always
Yeah,
worried
that was
about
kind
that
of
now.
crazy the other day. Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't believe that. That was blooming ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. So, do you want to tell everyone briefly a bit like what you do on your channel and
Yeah.
just so whoever doesn't, I'm going to try and you explain, and I'm going to try and do it without ruining anything.
Okay. I'm sure you'll be fine. And if anything goes sideways, we'll just hop back on. All good.
Yeah.
So, hi to everybody in the chat. I see everybody in there saying hi. So, I am a metaphysical minister and I am a professional tarot reader and a spiritual coach. So, I sort of do all those things. I coach clients. We do private sessions. Sometimes it's tarot, sometimes it's past life work, sometimes it's healing work. It's sort of a lot of modalities and tools in the toolbox that we use to help people. And not everybody needs to be in crisis or huge distress. Like sometimes it's like people just need help making a decision or they just need someone to talk things through with. So I have a whole variety of different clients that have all different needs. I also do tarot readings. So I, use tools of divination. And then in my real life out in the world, I do a lot of weddings, a lot of funerals, and I work with veterans. So I'm actually a veteran service officer. That's a new role for me, and a chaplain for a legion. So I do their services as well. So there's all kinds of things. So it's fun because I don't have to. I'm not kind of stuck kind of in one role. I can get to do all kinds of different things all the time.
Yeah.
So I have lots of interesting things. My every day is different.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Oh, that's really interesting. Right. So everybody, sorry, Avril, I've
I
put
was just
Avril's
reading
link
Joe's
in
comment.
there. Yeah. Yeah, I've put Avril's link in the comments. So if you haven't, please go over and like, share, and subscribe. If you would, that'd be lovely. Thank you, guys. Hi, Jim. Hi, Scrooge. Are you going to behave tonight, Scrooge? You can stay on as long as you don't disrupt us. We're talking about something very important. We're talking about forgiveness and I'm sure by the end of this live, I will forgive you.
Yeah. So I'm just thank you for sharing my link. Yeah, I enjoy, and believe me, I enjoy chatting with everybody. So by all means, comment on my channel, comment here. We're gonna have a good chat today. So just to go back to Joe, dreaming about her alive dog that keeps pooping everywhere. Are you dreaming that the dog is pooping everywhere, or is the dog actually pooping everywhere? It's like, what is the actual dream? And Prince Screwed of Slimex, that is Avril Media. I don't advertise myself or promote myself as a medium, though I am a size medium as well.
Screwed can be a bit funny sometimes, Avril. He's a bit of a
personality.
Yeah, he's a bit of a personality. But yeah, he can stay if he's going to be good. If he starts asking stupid questions, he's going to go on timeout in the naughty corner.
Well, so Joe said you've found dog poop everywhere. Yeah, that's not, we don't need a psychic to know you need to take your dog to the vet. Just get them checked out and make sure that there's not a physiological problem, but there might be a psychological problem. Maybe there's something has upset your dog, or or they could be having digestive distress. I don't know, but definitely if you're finding dog poop everywhere, like in your house, I'm assuming, take your dog to the vet.
Yeah, definitely. Or if you change the food all of a sudden, because sometimes that can be a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, my dog, I have a little terrier, so he occasionally shows up with a rabbit in his mouth.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I've got a greyhound, and thankfully, because I can't let her off, because you know what they're like, because she's a rescue. It's a real shame, and I feel really bad for her because all her friends are running around and blah, 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 and she can't. But the problem with greyhounds is as soon as they see something small and furry, that's it, they're off. And that's just it. You'll never see them again. Well, bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. It's mind you, she did go a couple of years ago. She did go through the woods with my daughter, her friend, and her friend's greyhound, and it's the first time we let Bonnie off the lead. Well, not me because I wasn't there. My daughter did, and she just followed Buddy because Buddy only won one race. So he was started very young. And then he had an injury, so he was easier to train because he was still basically a pup when he came out the kennels, thankfully. So he was young, easier to train. So thankfully, Bonnie's a follower. So I do have hopes that in the future we can find a good dog that's good with recall, and then she'll be all right. But do you know what I mean? I just feel it's just a horrible sport, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like it. But it's like, I used to have a Jack Russell, and I used to take him to Jack Russell events where they would, we'd pop him in a box and they'd open the front and he would chase it, but they were having the time of their lives. And that was people just bringing their own dogs to have some fun. It wasn't a business. It wasn't competition. There were no people betting on the dog. Like, it was just for fun. So the dogs could do what they love doing. But yeah, I used to have a neighbor across from me that had a greyhound, and we have all chased that dog up the street trying to catch it. So yeah, once they go, that's it. You just got to jump in the car and hope they stay on one path.
Yeah, or learn how to lasso. Yeah.
like on Yellowstone.
Sorry, I keep coughing again tonight, guys. It's definite. I think it's definitely hay fever, but apparently you don't. Mind you, I do smoke as well. So okay, I'm going to stop the excuses. It's my bad. Right. Hi, Nola. Recall was a character in London's, but hi, Get Knotted. Sorry, Grace. You don't.
It's all right. I'll answer to all of it. Fifth, Grace, Avril, whatever. It's all good.
Oh, that's nice, Screwed. My Pandy Fab off lead, also terrible on lead. Yeah, some dogs can be worse on the lead as well, can't they?
Yeah, my dog is not great, but I got him a harness that clips at the front instead of the back.
Oh,
because
yeah.
dogs that are pullers, like if you clip them on the back, they automatically start pulling. But if you clip on the front, it pulls them sideways, and they don't like that. So he walks so much better with a clipped on the front.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So psychic advice, some dog training advice. I bring it all.
Oh, that's brilliant. No, it's good to know. Right.
I think it's called an easy lead or easy walk or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, where did you want to start tonight?
Oh my goodness. Well, I thought that you had that really, really interesting conversation. I guess it's a couple weeks ago now. Talking about, when people have apologized, and I understand that an apology doesn't change anything, but it's a really, really good start. And I actually have a workshop. It's more like I call my TED Talk style things fireside chats. And I actually did one a few years ago called The Power of the Apology and The Power of Forgiveness. So it was two different ones. And it sort of talked about all of this. So when I heard you talking about this, I was like, oh, you're speaking my language now. So there was a lot of things that went on in that conversation that I thought were quite fascinating. And it's always important that we all remember that in any circumstance, situation like this, where people are upset with each other, or they're angry, or they're hurt, or whatever we're feeling, we're all human, and we're all entitled to feel what we're feeling.
Yes.
Right. So that's number one. I would never say to somebody, oh, it's not a big deal, get over it. Like, no, you're entitled to feel what you're feeling.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's part of, I know a lot of the conversation that day that you had centered around narcissists.
Yeah.
And so we know that with a narcissist, what they do is say, I'm sorry, get over it, let's get back to normal. Right? Like that's what an apology sounds like with a narcissist is, if they're not saying things like, I'm sorry you feel that way, they'll say, which is all my favorite. Don't we love that? But that it's the apology is just the first step, because if we're not owning our behaviors and acknowledging them, and sometimes it's we don't even know people, and we always have to remember that everything that we experience, we're seeing through our own lens. So what might hurt somebody else might not hurt another person. Like it's all very personal sometimes.
Yeah.
So we can't, people are just out there hurting other people. Are they though? Or are you choosing to be hurt by something? And I'm not talking about, somebody punches you in the face and you're hurt. I mean, like sometimes we choose to be hurt by things that we've just made up in our heads, like unmet expectations, or somebody, didn't behave the way we wanted them to, and now we're hurt. That's a choice that we're making. And yeah. Looking at
what's he up to? I have a question. Right. Let's get him on. Right.
Okay.
Scrooge wants to be center of attention today, so let's put him on.
Right. So I would say that the revenge conversation is a whole other call. We'll discuss revenge on another call. Today we're talking about forgiveness and apologies. Yeah. So Joe has said, so you just accept an apology if you know it's fake. No. If somebody is sincere, an apology should sound like, I did this thing. It was not good. I'm taking responsibility for my behavior, and I'm sorry that I did this thing that has upset you. Right? Like that, obviously we're going to say it more heartfelt than that, but that's sort of the script of an effective apology. And then you should try to fix things. Right. Yes. So I had a situation with somebody that I know, and I hadn't spoken to her for a while. I was just kind of avoiding having an argument with her. And she sent me a message and she said, are we okay? And I said, well, I've been kind of avoiding having a fight with you. And she said, well, let's go to dinner and have a fight. So I was like, okay. Okay. I'm an Aries. I'm spicy. Let's do it. Right.
Let's go.
So we went, and I told her, she's like, okay, what's going on? And I told her there were a couple little things that had happened, and not all of them were from her. There was people connected to her that were doing things too. And so I explained everything, and she said, yeah, you're right. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, that wasn't good. That was not good. And you didn't say anything, so I wasn't sure if you were feeling the same way, but I recognized when I said it that it was not cool. And I'm sorry. And I totally see where you're coming from. And I feel horrible about what I said and that you're upset about it. Like that's a sincere apology, right?
Yeah.
You've got to own it. You have to acknowledge that, yes, you did the thing. You have to take responsibility for the thing that you did. And then you actually have to sincerely apologize. It is okay to say, I wasn't my best self that day. Or, people like, oh, it's just excuses. Well, yeah, like, this is where grace comes in, which is why my channel is called, my business is called Fifth and Grace, because it's about living with grace. Exactly. And when people say, I was having a bad day, I'm sorry I took it out on you. Oftentimes what we hear to that is, well, that's just an excuse. And it's like, well, that's where we have to afford somebody some grace and say, okay, they had a bad day. They didn't respond the best way they possibly could. I can let this go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there are big differences between somebody who really is just not a good person and people who are having not a good day.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
So, and I think that in there, just starting there is a good place to sort of start making distinctions. And we also have to remember that nobody is out in the world trying to hurt you. They're just doing their thing and you're hurt by it. And many of us are choosing to be hurt by things. Like there's people who wake up every day just looking for something to be offended by.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if this is kind of sounding like you, it may be trying to say, oh, maybe I need to just sort of like check in on myself a little bit and say, am I creating drama in my life? Simply because I've decided that something is offensive and I'm going to try to convince other people that it's offensive too, which we see a lot. There's a lot of, and we're seeing this on YouTube a lot. I'm not going to talk about anybody in particular, but we are seeing this a lot where like one person's offended and they're trying to get everybody else to be offended by it too. And then ganging up on the person and it's going back and forth. And exactly. Perception is reality. And it's not, but I'm gonna take that one bit further. Perception is your reality.
That's right. Exactly.
My perception is my reality. And you can change your reality by changing your thoughts.
Yes.
And two people can have completely different, or the completely same experience and have completely different reactions to it because they're both perceiving it in completely different ways. And that's their own personal reality as opposed to trying to make that everybody's reality.
Yes, because, sorry to interrupt you, but that is a very good point. And I think we should discuss that, if okay, just very, very quickly. When you said about we choose to be offended and etc. And not everybody, it's like you said, someone could be not behaving in a way that you'd like them to. I think with ourselves as well, we've really got to search ourselves and think, right, okay, that made me feel a bit crappy, but I'm not going to react to that. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to walk away, have a think, or go and talk to a different, say like at a party or whatever, someone sort of like talking to someone else, and like you just, some people just expect to be spoken to immediately. Everyone has to stop what they're doing and they have to say hello to that person. If they don't say hello, she'll get the hump, or he or she or whatever. Instead of that person just thinking they're entitled, they've really got to get a grip on themselves and think, right, okay, that made me feel a bit insecure. That made me feel a bit like rejected. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to get the hump. I'm going to take a deep breath, walk away, blah, 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 and sort myself out, because that's a my problem. That's not their problem. It's a my problem. And you're right. You see a lot of everywhere, just not on YouTube, out in the real world and etc. Everybody gets offended, and you're right. People do look for something to get offended at. And I think instead of them blaming the whole world and the frogs, they need to think, right, what can I do to change myself? Why does that offend me? Why does that little thing offend me? What do I need to work on? And I think as soon as we look to ourselves and think, right, okay, I'm going to be a much happier person if I don't take offense to everything and stop being so sensitive. So I think a lot of that is in with that offended thing as well, isn't it? And I think that's a habit that's very, very hard to get rid of, but you need to start somewhere. Hi, lady.
I think definitely it's people get very addicted to the drama of all of it.
Yeah.
And if you got it, like, it's hard to snap out of it. You know what I mean? Like, we see people who are just in this cycle of drama all the time, of being offended, being hurt. You know, this person said that. And a lot of times what we do, and just to take your example, somebody walks in and says hello to everybody and doesn't say hello to you. What many people do, and as humans, this is what we do, is we make that mean something about us. And it doesn't mean anything about us. It means something about the other person. And maybe it means they just didn't see you there. I was in the car when you emailed me earlier today, and I had that quick little email back to you. I was sitting at a red light, so I didn't have a lot of time.
Sorry.
Yes, you're coming. And so I was thinking, when I was driving around, I was thinking to myself, what's a really good example of something that would really upset some people but not upset other people? And I came up with one while I was driving. The Irish goodbye. Do we know what that is? I've heard it called the French goodbye. I've heard it called all different kinds of things.
I can't remember what that one is.
It's when you're at a party, and instead of doing a farewell tour and distracting everybody from their conversations and their enjoyment of the party, you're now pulling all the attention to yourself to say goodbye to everybody. Instead of doing that, you just slip out and then send the host an email or a text or call them the next day saying, that was a great party, thank you so much. Right?
Do you know what? Me personally, I've never thought about doing that before, because obviously, for example, I went to my friend's wedding a couple of weeks ago. And you know what weddings are like. You know, we wanted to go, and everyone was leaving anyway. And, you know, the bride and groom were busy, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll just wait here a second. I'll just wait until she's not so busy, like talking to my daughter. And like I said, should we just go? We'll probably see her because she lives over the road to me as well. We'll probably see her tomorrow. And then thankfully she ran over and said, like, you're going, blah, blah, blah. So, but that is a good point as well. I'll take note of that, because sometimes you just stand there quietly waiting for your turn to say goodbye, and then it could be hours later. They probably not even realise you're there. Sometimes I stand there like a lemon thinking, okay, shall I just go and ring them? But then I'd feel bad if I don't physically say goodbye. But you have got a good point, actually.
But there are people who would be so offended by you leaving without saying goodbye, and then there's people who would be so annoyed that you disturbed them to say goodbye, right? Like, there's two kinds of people. It's such an innocent thing, but some people are offended by it and some people aren't. So obviously it depends on the situation. If you're the only person at someone's house, you probably need to say goodbye. But at a wedding, if the bride and groom are all on the dance floor, all smoochy woo, whatever, no, you just slip out quietly. You don't disturb them.
I'll note that down for next time.
And so we all have our own perceptions. And actually, somebody said something back here. Hold on, let me see if I don't know if I can scroll back through through the comments. We all have it was Lady Luck said, we all have our own lens based on our experience and expectations. That's the important word there, is expectations, because is it really a problem, or was it an unmet, unspoken expectation? So when we don't say our expectations of how people are to behave or treat us or whatever, and then we don't like it, we can't be upset that they didn't know, we have to take our shoes off when we come in your house, or whatever it is that people get offended by. So I think that, Lady Luck's right on the money there, that it's all based on your own experience, how you were raised, your whatever traumas or anything that you have gone through in your life, plus your expectations. When I have expectations of people, I let them know. You know what I mean? I expect you to be on time. That's my
Yes.
one expectation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I expect you to bring something for the table. For if it's a
Yeah.
girls' night, you know, or I expect you to do XYZ. Like if you expect something from someone, let them know and give them the choice to meet that expectation or not. And if they don't meet that expectation, then you have some choices to make. But I don't think it's hard because, you know, most times it's small expectations that are hurting us the most.
Yeah.
But we're just not expressing them. So I actually had, it's one on my list of like little fireside chats to do is unmet, unspoken expectations and why we're hurting ourselves with these things. Yeah. And then Joe said, how many free passes do you give when you are intentionally being embarrassed by someone you trust? Well, you're assuming that they're doing it intentionally. So if I think that I can't remember what it's called, but it's like assuming that someone's stupid rather than malicious is a good way to go through life. So it could be they're just dumb and they have no idea that they are embarrassing you. But also at the same time, you're choosing to be embarrassed for whatever reason. It could be trauma, it could be past experiences, it's your own lens. So there's a whole bunch of things going on in one moment. But if you don't like the way someone behaves, just don't have anything to do with them.
Yeah.
Like it's that simple. Walk away. Don't hang out with them anymore. If it's somebody close to you, like a family member that you can't necessarily avoid, just do your best to just not be around them. Sit on the other side of the room or whatever, you know, whatever the scenario is. But we're not talking about free passes that are, you know, because that sort of sounds like somebody did something shitty and now we're telling them that's okay. That's not what any of this is about. It's not about a free pass. It's when somebody is genuine and has that bit of genuine remorse. Like, you know, we've all had that moment where we're like, I'm a jerk. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like it came out of my mouth, and as soon as it hit my teeth, I wish I could have sucked it back, but it was out there, and off we go. And I'm sorry, and you know, blah blah blah. You do all the things to fix it, and you try not to do it again because we really can't expect more from anybody around us than just being who they are. If you want people to change, are you prepared to change?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you're not prepared to change how you receive things, then stop expecting people to change how they deliver things.
Yeah, that's right. Brilliant point there. Brilliant.
Yeah. And so, but I thought Lady Luck is on fire here. I'm liking her comments here. What else do we have? Noticed in the forces that if someone upset you, so like a one for all for one kind of thing. Everybody ignored them. You know, I was reading this this thing in one native culture in North America, I believe. And when somebody is being a jerk, they have to stand in the center of the circle, and the whole tribe will stand around them and say nice things to them until they realize that they're better than being a jerk.
Oh, okay.
You know, like you can love people out of things. You don't have to be abusive to them to get them to you know, like asking people to change will show them what they can be and show them who they could be, you know, and who they actually are deep down, rather than just saying, okay, you need to change.
Yeah, that's right. I think I mean, I know someone in the a long time ago, she always expected everybody to change. Like, I don't know, for example, say like Heather over there, oh, you must change. I'm really offended by that. Da, 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 da. And I said to her once, I'm not being rude, but have you looked in the mirror? Have you looked at yourself? What are you willing to change? I never heard the end of it. I wish I'd never opened my mouth now. She never talked to me after that since. And I thought, oh, okay, off you go then.
It's probably not a loss.
No, exactly, not a loss at all. But you do get people that are so self-absorbed, so self-entitled that you politely correct them, constructive criticism, and they'll take that as a massive offensive thing and never talk to you again. But like you said, no loss.
And you know, that when, you know, talking about like somebody gets offended by something, if you say something, or say somebody says something to you and you're offended by that, and I mean you, I mean just the collective you.
Yeah.
If I'm the only person in the room who thinks that's offensive, it's probably a me problem.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's just I'm sensitive about something in particular, and we all have our things that we're sensitive about. So I don't, no judgment on that, but it's, you got to look inwards and say, why am I feeling this way about this? Like you said, like, you know, look in the mirror and have a little come to Jesus and say, you know, why am I offended? And it's, you know, like there's a product out there on the market that my high school bully used to call me the name of that product. So I will not have that product in my house, because it just brings that up, right? Like it brings up 4 years of being bullied by somebody.
Fair enough. Yes. Sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think many of us have. We all have our bully from high school.
Yeah.
But it's that thing where it's like, but if I'm out in the world and somebody has that product in their kitchen, I'm not going to get upset. That's mine. Yeah. That's my thing to deal with, not theirs.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. I just want to say hi to Kaz, because I just saw her pop up there. And just say hi to her. I haven't seen her for a little while. There we go. Okay. All right. We're good. I just looking at the comments here. Oh, Jim just asked, Lord Jim Dandy asked, do I have a sixth sense when I first meet somebody, good or bad? Sometimes, yeah. I usually try to stay pretty neutral with people, because sometimes you can pick up on things that aren't actually what you think they are. So I tend to give people some time to show me who they are, regardless of what I'm picking up or not picking up. But yeah, there are people that I immediately am like, nope, not today, Satan. Yeah. And I'm going home now, you know. But for the most part, I just try to give everybody a fair chance in life at showing who they are, showing who they actually are. And we an interesting comment that was in your last conversation that this was being discussed, and I don't remember who said it. I should have written down who said it, but they were talking about how leopards don't change their spots. And yeah, that's true. But not everybody is a leopard. Not everybody is that person who's just out there trying to cause chaos and hurt people. Sometimes people just do stupid things, or say stupid things, or say things that they don't know is upsetting or triggering. You know, no, they don't know what your father called you as a child that has upset you to this day. You know what I mean? Like, so we always need to leave room for grace and all of these sorts of things. How do you deal with a friend accusing you of things you didn't do? I guess it would depend on what they're accusing me of. Are they accusing me of sleeping with their husband, or are they accusing me of dyeing my hair? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is a bit of a spectrum of, you know, because some things are private and some things involve other people. So I think it would be, I guess the name is Lucienne. Is that how you say that name, Lucienne? That's a pretty name.
That's a rare name. That's a nice name, Lucy.
It's a very pretty name.
Lucy. Yeah. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. But yeah, I mean, my take on that would be, if they're your friends, they should know you, and they should know that you wouldn't do that to them. So if you can, talk it out. And if you can't, then shut the door at the end of that's just my opinion. If they're not, if they're hearing these things from other people, for example, hang on, then that's just hearsay. There's nothing to back it up with. If they can't come to you and say, look, this is what I feel you have been doing, put all the cards on the table, you say yes or no, and you either move on together, or if you feel like you can't move on together, then go your separate ways.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having to prove yourself to somebody, that's not a friend. That's a frenemy. That's your frenemy there. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe if Lucian wants to just say like a little gist of what's going on, then it'll be a little easier to answer that question. Because like I said, it could be something really minor, like you got a boob job. I know you got a boob job. And you're like, no, that's private. I don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Or it could be something actually really, really majestic going on. Joe is saying it was my best friend of 30 years that was continually trying to embarrass her. So Joe, I'm gonna give you a little reframe on that. I am embarrassed by things this person says. Not they're continually trying to embarrass me, because you don't actually know for a fact that they are trying to embarrass you. They're just embarrassing you. But let's take ownership of our role in that and say, I'm embarrassed by this. And that's a little reframe that should click some things in terms of going forward with this relationship. If you don't, like I said, if you don't enjoy being around somebody, just don't. It's pretty simple. If you don't feel better leaving a gathering, then why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Kaz is saying, I wish I had majestic things going on.
Me both, Kaz.
Yeah. So Lucienne is saying that her friend is accusing her of lying. Well, yeah. I mean, I can see that, but we don't know what they're accusing you of lying about. Like, is it something really big and like dramatic and life-changing, or is it just something little? You don't have to tell us exactly what it is, but if it's just like a little thing, like I said, like she thinks you're lying about your boob job, then that's pretty minor, you know? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Past private stories. I don't know what that means.
Oh, I think Joe's talking about her friend of 30 years continually trying to embarrass me. Yeah, I think
she's saying private stories. She's telling people private stories about you. Is that what's going on?
Yikes.
Because when people are saying, like when somebody says to me, they're trying to embarrass me, I'm like, okay, but how, right? Because they drink too much and they're stupid and they fall down on the way to the taxi, and that's embarrassing, or they're actually really doing something. So Joe said, yeah, okay, that's not a friend. Yeah. That's your frenemy.
Yeah, frenemy. Yeah, get rid of Joe.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're going through something and they're taking their pain and trying to make it your pain. So they're revealing past things. That's a betrayal. And that to me is something that's a deal breaker for me. When you start discussing private things, and I actually went through this about 1.5 years ago with somebody, I told this person repeatedly, do not repeat this conversation. And she repeated the conversation repeatedly. Oh. And then couldn't understand why I was angry. And I was like, okay, done.
Sorry, what a bitch. No, sorry to swear, but yeah, I need to stop swearing. But that's a really dirty thing to do to a friend. You just don't do that. It's like when you say to someone, please don't repeat that, and they go and repeat it. That's the first red flag, in my opinion. Yeah.
And we've got this whole culture right now. I actually did a video. If anybody, when we're done here, hop over to my channel and go through the one, we don't trust our friends. Because people are proving themselves to be so untrustworthy.
Exactly.
You know, like I'm very guarded in private conversations with people simply because I don't know who's going to weaponize the personal thing I just told them.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time. And I'm like, that's not friendship. That's a snake in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say, who is it that's talking about? It's Joe. So I think my suggestion would be to just not be having anything to do with this person. Because this is not cool to be talking about this. And like I said, that's why we kind of needed a little bit of information about what's going on. But yeah, sharing your private stuff, no. I would be like, we are done. Don't even look in my direction. Forget I exist.
Yeah, no, don't waste your time, Joe. That's 30 years of
because you can't trust this person. Yeah. And now they're weaponizing personal things you've told them. And that's not cool, because I'm sure over 30 years you've had a lot of personal conversations. And I'm going to bet they wouldn't want you posting their darkest secrets either. So it's interesting to me when people do that, because I'm like, you know, I'm a vault. I will keep everybody's secrets and until you piss me off. And then I might be like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If you're going to, you know, what's good for the goose, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So Lady Luck is saying she ditched a friend after 30 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's hard because, but the question I would always ask people in situations like this, when I have clients talking about this kind of thing, trying to heal from these sorts of relationships, is have you been friends for 30 years, or were you friends 30 years ago and you've just been clinging to that story?
Yeah.
But, you know, or were you like best friends last weekend and all of a sudden you're not? So yeah, there's a lot going on there. But I think it's important that we remember, because you said something really, really powerful the last time you talked about this, was that when people actually do have remorse and they do make amends and they do the work to be better. If say, you know, it's like we all have our moments, and sometimes we don't realize that we're being idiots. If the person does do that and then you still won't give them a chance, even just for a conversation, we've now we're really deep in our victim story. Then that's a good indication that we're so deep in our victim narrative. And what very often happens in cases like that, and we all do it, the victim becomes the perpetrator. So if somebody has done the work, they've gone to therapy, they've done the courses, they've done the work, they've apologized profusely, they're showing you that they are not the person you believe they are based on one moment, perhaps. They're showing you that, and you won't even talk to them. Now you're the jerk.
Yeah, you're right, because they're not going to, it's tough for someone that's so used to being like that, genuinely wanting to change. Of course they're going to F up. We all F up anyway. So, you know, you can't just, the slightest little hurdle, you can't just think, when you, like you said, when you can see them doing the work, you can't just think, oh, well, they're just going to change straight away. No, it takes time, and they're going to need your guidance, your humble advice. You know, it's like a parent. I know this is a bit of a silly example, but the only thing I can think of is a parent. You're not just going to disown your son or daughter just because they keep effing up every now and again. You need to keep working with them. And when you see them willing to change and wanting to do better, I don't know, for example, with their studies, they've had their time of rebellion and blah, blah, blah. You just got to keep going. And when you get to that point where you can breathe and say, okay, we got there, one of you is going to F up again anyway. You know what I mean? So
it's your turn, right? Yeah, you set the tone for how you want it to be when you F up, you know? Yeah.
You know, this person could be absolutely perfect. It could be me or you or whoever in, that could be the total jerk, and they're like, hang on a sec, now the tables have turned, I've got to guide you, have I?
We've all had to eat crow at least once.
Yeah, so, definitely. Yeah.
And again, like there's Lady, that's where grace comes in. It's you've got to leave room for grace and everything. And so when we're saying somebody is, and what Joe was saying when she said intentionally, yes, I agree now that I hear what is actually going on. I'm like, yeah, that's sounding pretty intentional. But if say it's not intentional, just say it happens, and we start placing meaning on it. So we'll just take what Joe said and we'll pretend that it's not about the situation. She said, someone is intentionally trying to embarrass me. Well, how do you know they're doing it intentionally? You have filled in that blank, right? Like you've projected something onto that moment. And you've projected intentionality because you believe that that's what you would do under the same circumstances. And then trying to embarrass you. Is that what they're doing? Or are they just living their life and you're embarrassed by it? And no, I'm not directing you at you, Joe. I'm just using the first thing you said as an example of like how we can sort of pull this apart and say, oh yeah, maybe I am making it something it's not because I'm adding my own stuff to the conversation. And so I think it's, there's lots of variables in all of these things. And there is a huge spectrum of things that we do that are stupid to malicious. So in this case with Joe, I would say, yeah, this is kind of malicious to be taking trusted information and posting it publicly or saying it publicly, whatever's going on. That's not cool. That is malicious. But if it was something like this person gets drunk every time we go out on Friday night and is stupid and I'm embarrassed, that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
Like there's stupidity and then there's malicious. So it's important that we look at things and say, well, where is that behavior on this spectrum? And if you've pointed it out to somebody and you've sort of asked somebody not to do something and they continue to do that exact same thing, now there's some intentionality behind it. But if it's, we all, how many times do you have to tell your kids to shut the back door? Right? Are they doing it on purpose or are they just being kids? Right? Like they're not trying to drive you crazy. They're just doing their thing. Right? So there's a lot of ways we can say, is this person actually intentionally trying to hurt me? Or am I just kind of filling in some blanks here and making it mean something? And there's so many places, but this is like a 10-hour conversation, really.
Yeah, and I think with some people, after a while, you do get the idea, you get that feeling, don't you? Like that gut feeling, yeah, they're being intentional now. They didn't stop the first time, they've done it the second time. You corrected them, they're still doing it. No. But Joe says here, exactly, Flop, I don't know if I can permanently shut the door. And you said about your reaching out and your hubby said, enough now, Joe. I think me and Avril would agree with your hubby here. But 30 years, that's quite a long time, really. I think you're just going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Some things need to come to an end, Joe.
If you feel like you're stuck in it, get in touch with me and we can do a cord cutting. It's an energetic cord cutting where we literally disconnect you from that person. And so you're not kind of stuck in that feeling, because a lot of times we just sort of get stuck energetically with people and we can't shake them. And I don't mean that we can't get them to go away. It's that we won't release them. So if that is something I do quite often, and it's so helpful because then people they snap out of whatever it is that's keeping them connected, because we literally snip the cords, the energetic and emotional cords. So Joe, if you feel like, and don't be sorry, Joe, not at all. You're providing some great content here. And so yeah, it's I would say that if you feel like you maybe need to a little help there, we can definitely help you with that.
Yeah, and I think as well it is. I think when someone like Avril comes along and you are in a bit of a mess emotionally with like Joe explains about your friend, you're desperate for answers. You're desperate to know what to do. So we understand that, Joe. We understand why you need to comment so much about it, if that makes sense. You need to know, you need a bit of guidance, and don't be sorry. That's what we're here for. Well, I'm here for it anyway, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's hard and it sucks, but I had a mate who outrageously flirted around my husband, but wouldn't stop even when he was making it obvious he wasn't impressed or interested. She'd been cheated on, divorce. I knew her intention. Oh, wow.
How did you know her intention? That's what I want to know, is how did you know? Did she say to you, I'm going to get your husband, I'm going to flirt till I get this man? Like, how did you know her intention? Because I've had women in the past get angry at me for flirting with their husbands. And I'm like, I said, hello. I don't even like this man. I don't know why you like him. And I said, hello. Yeah. I was just being nice. I'll stop being nice to him. Because a lot of times some women can't stand other women being nice to their husbands, because then they might have to start being nice to their husband too. So in this case, I'm like, how did you know her intention? Because is that a blank that was filled in? Or did she say something to you that made it very clear? And then sometimes people think that other people are flirting when they're just, holding the door. Like, I see that thing where the guy is like,
Yeah.
I saw a woman behind me who had in the grocery store line, and she had one thing, and I told her she could go ahead, and she said, I have a boyfriend.
Oh my God.
It's like, no, he was just being nice. He was just being nice. So yeah, sometimes people are just friendly and it gets confused for flirting. But again, not seeing it in front of me, I don't know what's going on. Like, if I was sitting there, I might be like, yeah, that's a little too far. Or no, I think she was just friendly. I think she was just chatting and they had something in common. Whereas we're getting on. It was just obvious as she wasn't anywhere like that until she was going through a divorce. Well, yeah. I mean, she may have been flirting, but it may have just been more like a testing ground. Like, she's out there for the first time after however many years in a marriage, and was, I don't know, finding her way. I think I've kind of seen that a lot with divorced women or women who break up. They start hitting on everybody. And it's like, yeah, nobody wants you. You know what I mean? Go do some healing.
Yeah, especially, stay away from married men. That's the first thing when you get divorced. Just don't go near married men for a start.
And it's really important. I was out a couple weeks ago because I do biker blessings. So I go to bike nights, and living in Canada, everything's an hour away. So one of my friends, he drove both of us. And so I drove there with him and back. And he was describing a guy, and he said, I would trust this guy with my wife. And that's a big thing, right?
Yes.
Because I was like, wow, like, yeah, that's really important that your friends can be trusted around your spouse.
Yes.
That like, I know my spouse probably wouldn't even know someone was flirting with him. My husband would be like, well, she seemed really nice. And all the women would be like, dude, but yeah, like I think most men are kind of dumb, but they wouldn't know, you know what I mean? They would just be like, I don't know, I thought she was nice. And, but there's, it's definitely, being able to trust the people in your life is, my husband's friends are afraid of me. Good. That's how it should be.
That's a good one, Lady Luck.
Yeah, that's good. They should be, as it should be. Yes. Let's see. So Get Nodded said it was just obvious she wasn't anywhere like that until going. Yeah, the divorce obviously had her out there like a feral cat, for sure. So, and then Joe said, I have a bit of a jealous bone. My hubby is gorgeous, but she likes. Yeah, some people just are flirty. Some people are just flirty, and it's nothing. It's just friendliness. And if we're all going to be upset about like our men talking to another woman, just being like, "Hey, how are you?" Well, that's a you problem. That's not a them problem. That's a you problem. And if your insecurities are running the show, then maybe that's some work you need to do. But if this man has a history of cheating, then perhaps there's other things that go on. Okay. So Joe said, sorry. Lots of love, but stay away from my hubby. Yeah. If somebody's openly flirting, like, that's it. But it's also up to your husband to walk away. It's not up to you to get in the middle of it. It's up to your husband to walk away.
He should be the one that says, sorry, love, I'm married. And like Avril just said, just walk away. But I've noticed, I understand some men are friendly and some men are friendly and probably feel a bit rude if they say anything. Right, I've got to go, my wife's over there, blah, blah, blah. I think the men need to start standing their ground, because that is kind of like a green light to the flirty woman who clearly knows you're probably could be married, or you've introduced your wife and she's still yapping on and, hands, all over the place. I've seen some, oh my God, honestly, Avril and guys, I couldn't believe my eyes. My mum had to say something in the end. It was awful. The man was just like standing there like, what do I do? And like my mum's, well, be a man. You're married. Your wife's outside with some other woman out there, and you're in here not standing your ground as a man, but let alone as a married man. Oh, honestly, it was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing, and I felt for him, but you know, he's not one to stick up for himself, bless his heart. So he's got to learn a few things there.
I think most men are like that.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Flop, can we go back to Get Knotted comment? All the time trying to touch him. That's a good comment, because I got something to say. Yeah, just 3:54 p.m.
3:50.
Oh, sorry, that would be
sorry.
Whatever time it is for you. I think we're 8:54 p.m. It's just a few comments back.
Right. Let me go down to
yeah, not all the time trying to touch him, hand on arm and back. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, this is the comment that I wanted to talk about. Who else do we know who does this? Because you know what? My mother is a malignant narcissist. So I am well versed in being an empath and the triflings of a narcissist. Meghan Markle, when I watch her, sometimes I get quite triggered because she does that, constantly touching people, hand on arm, hand on back.
No respect for other
you know what I mean? Always grabbing at people. And my mother does the same thing.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's a flirting thing or if it's a narcissist thing.
That's a good question, because how would we know?
Yeah.
Likes.
Yeah. Because it's like, is it just, I don't know. That's one I'm going to have to think on that one. But I could see like how, I mean, I remember somebody that I dated years and years and years before I met my husband, and they would do that. There'd be like a woman and he'd be staying there rubbing her back. And I'm like, do we not know your back rubs lead? Like, come on, you know, like we all know what starts with the back rub. So it was just sort of weird. It's a little too intimate.
Yes.
You know, and there's a reason why in some cultures and religion, you don't touch people of the other gender or sex. Like you know, because it's just, it really feels icky when you're watching it. It may be very, very innocent.
Yeah, it's their personal space as well. Yeah.
It does feel a little intimate and it feels a little icky. And then saying and even to the point where she tried to get knotted down and openly compare. Yeah. Get rid of this person. Get rid of this person.
No, I couldn't stand for that.
This person is icky. Yeah. Yeah. So Get Knotted has gone on to say, I'm not insecure, nor does my husband cheat. Just because I'm strong and in a strong marriage doesn't mean I have to put up with it. Exactly. Right? Yeah. Like, you know, if and her husband made sure that he's not interested. Yeah. So this person is like, I really don't like saying this person is intentionally doing something. They're doing something and they might not be doing it intentionally. It might be very unconscious and they don't realize the reaction it's getting. So, you know what I mean? Like if that's it, but if they do know, if you've talked to this person and you've said, listen, I would appreciate if you stop touching my husband and my husband feels the same way. She might say, well, then your husband can tell me, and it'd be like, oh, he will, you know? So I think that if this person is doing this and it's upsetting you and you haven't spoken to them about it, because they might not realize really what they're doing. Some people are just touchy, right? Because there are people out there who are just, you know, I always meet it's always a big, fat, sweaty man who says, I'm a hugger. And it's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Thank you. Some people are just touchy. And some people are not, and never the twain shall meet. But if this person has been told, this is not cool, this needs to stop, and they continue it, now they're doing it intentionally. And then you can let that person go. Yeah,
you can show them where the door is and shut it in their face. Oh, sorry. Flop, don't sound so violent. God, honestly. Even my dog's shocked at what I've just said. Blimey. But yeah, there's another thing just quickly. It's like when I used to work somewhere, there's this elderly man that kept, and it wasn't just with me, it was another lady the same age as me, and he was always in our space, always walking up behind us and do you want to whatever, and we were like, no. And another thing that really made me angry was we went to the boss about it and she just laughed it off. Oh, don't worry about it. He's just getting old and he needs a bit of rumpy pumpy or whatever. And we were like, no, that's like that's not little. Things like that really irritate me. It's my personal space. Don't just come up behind me or anyone and do that sort of thing. And again, when it comes to Meghan Markle, it reminds me a bit like, not the same thing, but it's like, leave people personal space alone, Meghan. It's not right, because that other person is not going to interpret it in whatever way you're trying to interpret. Do you know what I mean? It's quite creepy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry to sound dramatic, but some things they can be a bit creepy.
Yeah, and it all depends on the relationship. You know, like sometimes when, you know, somebody touches me, like they touch my arm and I'm like, why are you touching me?
Yeah.
Like, what was that for? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then it might be a friend or somebody that I'm close to and they pat me on the arm and be like, good job, or, you know, whatever. And it all depends on the relationship. It all depends on how you're receiving it. It all depends on your, you know, like we go back to the beginning of this conversation, your own experience and your own lens that you see the world through.
Yeah.
That, you know, sort of form all the things that we feel and think and believe about what's going on. But it's important that we don't fill in blanks for other people and start making up reasons why somebody's doing something because we don't know why they're doing it. Right? Like and when we do that, what we're doing is we're making it mean something usually about us. Yes. You know, they did that because they don't like me. Well, are you sure? Like, how about we just stick with they did it and not add any more meaning to it? Because maybe they didn't and they weren't even thinking about you.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're feeding yourself negative energy and you're putting yourself down. Really, you're going down a very dark road of low self-esteem, this, that, and the other, and it can lead to all sorts of malarkey at the end of it. So yeah, you're definitely right, Avril. You can't fill in the blanks. It's not healthy.
Yeah, and we could, like I said earlier, like we get addicted to that story that we're telling ourselves, and then we become the victim, and now it literally becomes our identity to be a victim of whatever we've made up in our heads. You know, and people do that so much. They make up a story in their head. And I've had this happen where somebody's like, yeah, but you blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, when did I ever do that? Like, I think that's a story you made up in your head. And now you're angry at that story because I don't even know who you are, you know? So we have to not make up stories or fill in blanks or project our own things, because a lot of times what we do is we expect people to behave the way we believe we would behave in that situation. And I'm going to bet we wouldn't behave the way we think we would. We would behave much worse because we're human, and that's our whole job, is to do dumb things and crash into each other occasionally.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. There was somebody said something. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll back. Oh, Get Nodded said, I got rid of her. Don't worry about that. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Don't keep people. If people make you feel icky, get rid of them. We don't have to hang. There's 8 billion people on this planet. There's nobody you need to hang on to. Really. No, if they don't feel good, get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes though, when you're around people and you pick up a couple of red flags along the journey, but then, you know, maybe for somebody else you ignore it because you just want to carry on and, you know, see what happens. Or, sorry, where was I going on this? Sorry, Avril, you have to bear with me. This happens. These guys will know what I'm like. I'll start a story.
I'm the same way. There's times I'm like, what was I talking about?
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? yeah, and then sometimes you say something and you're really feeling that, and not feeling that, hang on a sec, something's not right here. And then you approach the person about it, whatever it could be. But the first time they could say, oh, yeah, it's you, and that, yeah, it's me, blah, blah, blah. But after a while, there's a saying, I can't remember what, if someone makes you feel that way, walk away, or something. It depends on who it is, but sometimes we, like you said, we can fill in the blanks, but sometimes I think some people are just not for you, and it takes time to realize. But when they start making you question yourself, question everything, but your intuition is saying something is off here, walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it really, I'm going to take something, what you just said, and I'm going to pick it out and we're going to reframe it.
Yeah.
So you said when someone makes you feel, nobody's making you feel anything. We choose how we feel. We choose how we feel about things. And again, go back to two people can have the exact same experience and have completely different feelings about it. We choose how we feel based on our thoughts, based on our history, based on our past, our traumas, our experiences, how we were raised, our religion, everything, the lens that we see the world through. We choose how we feel, which is why some things would hurt one person, but not another, the exact same things. So it all just depends on what your thoughts and beliefs and everything are that are creating your emotions. So, so instead of saying you made me feel this way, to say I feel this way. That's it. I feel this way about this. Not you made, because I'd be like, I never made you feel anything. You're choosing how you feel about it. You're choosing how you receive it. Right? Because I may have delivered it in a way that you're not receiving it, and vice versa. So it's always when we just reframe things a little bit, sometimes our lives get a lot easier. And we say, I'm going to take responsibility for how I feel about this. And I'm not going to give that person the power over me to make me feel anything. That's empowerment. When we talk about women's empowerment, that's it right there in a nutshell. There's a $10,000 retreat for you right there. There's the basis of it. You choose how you feel. And you do not give other people the power over you. And it's like, you see it, like, you know, people are having tantrums over something that you've said. And it's like, wow, I've just got so much power over you, right? Because it's like somebody's out of control over something that someone has done or said. That's a lot of lost power.
Yes.
There, you know, rather than saying, all right, you do you, right? So Joe is saying, question yourself, gaslight. Yeah, like we're all gaslighting ourselves out here all the time. We do it all do it to ourselves, and we don't even realize it sometimes.
That's it.
But yeah, there's when somebody says something and you feel a way about it, that's not that person making you do anything. You are making that choice for yourself. And when you say, I'm not going to feel this way, I'm just choosing not to do this, that is empowerment. And that is getting yourself out of the victim narrative.
Yes.
Because if everybody's doing everything to you and making you do everything, you're powerless to it all. Really? Like you got to take control of yourself and empower yourself, and not have other people blame other people for whatever feelings that you have. Because then you're just a victim to them.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to put my foot down before. Yeah, that's a pretty toxic entanglement there. So Get Knotted is talking about how she had to get rid of this friend who was flirting with her husband because people might have started thinking, maybe there is something going on.
Exactly. You know what rumors are like. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Lady Luck is saying we all have a choice. It's not what happens to you, it's how you handle it. And I'll just even reframe that one. It's not what happens, it's how it handles, because nothing happens to you. It just happens, and you maybe happen to be there. You may be a participant in it. So
and I think a lot of people like to try and provoke us, don't they? But again, like Lady said, it's how we handle it. And
this
if
is
we,
the first step to forgiveness is sort of saying like, I'm not going to own other people's shitty behavior.
No, that's true.
Right. So it's not that you did it to me, you did it. And I chose to stand here and accept it. Right. So we have to take responsibility for our role. And, you know, when people, when we do forgiveness work with my clients, one of the people that we forgive the most is ourselves. Because, you know, and I've had people say, well, I didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, well, you stayed for 10 years and tolerated it. You put up with it. You ignored 400 red flags. All the things you told me, you let slide and you ignored and you let go. That led to this moment. So we all have to forgive ourselves. And we also have to take responsibility for our role in what went on as well. So there's all kinds of, there's never one sole victim or one sole perpetrator. It's a relationship. It takes two to tango in everything. And sometimes someone's role is just staying and tolerating it. And that we need to work on that as well. Not to be like, you'll never do it again, but to say, you know what, I forgive myself for not doing better for myself in a situation where I couldn't, or where I didn't know better, or whatever it is. We beat ourselves up now, today, for things in the past.
Yeah.
That we weren't equipped to handle in the past. And that's why a lot of times we do work where we go back and we visit ourselves in that moment, and we forgive ourselves and we give ourselves a hug in that moment, because, you know, 5-year-old Avril was not capable of handling a narcissist mother.
No.
So I have to go back and hug my little 5-year-old Avril and say, it's okay, you did your best. With, you know what I mean? Because we're all just doing the best we can with what we have today in this. Yeah. Sorry, that was a big long rant.
No, go for it. No, you're more than welcome.
And get modded. Please don't be sorry. That was great content you put in there. Yeah.
No, do you know what? You guys tonight have been absolutely amazing. You really have.
Yes.
And so you have, Rob. And I think as well, you know, I'm guilty of it. Lots of domestic violence victims are guilty of it. The first time they raise their hands, we go back, don't we? The first time they do it, or we go back. Yeah. And it's because we look back now and we think, why? But at that time, our brains were just in, I can't even explain it, when really we should have said, you do that. I'm walking. The first time I'm walking and you're not, you know, I forgive you, but access denied the first time, but I'm guilty of it. And I look back now and I wish I did walk away. Yeah. The first time. But for some reason, I don't even know why. Is it a why do we do it? Why do we go back? Because it's all the sob story, I'll never do it again, and you really like them, you really fancy them, or you think they're the one and this is just a thing they're going through. Why do it? It must have been something about low self-esteem back in the day. That's the only thing, me personally, I can think of. But if a guy did that to me now, see you later. Don't come with me again, because I've learned a lot. But as you were saying, all of us have got to go back in time and forgive ourselves for letting ourselves down, if you know what I mean, by keep letting these abusers back into our lives. But I think a lot of us know better. No matter how good looking they are, no matter whatever it is, you're attracted to them. The sob story comes and then they suck you back in. They sort of like hoover you back up, don't they? But I think that point we know now is to say no and to keep saying no. And I think as long as you keep doing that with any relationship, you're going to grow to the human you're supposed to be, and think more of yourself, have more self-respect. Yeah. Just little things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And back to what I said about we all, you know, we think that we know how we would behave in a situation. And that's the standard we hold other people to in an actual real situation. Yeah. And so when we look back, we all like to think we are the kind of woman who would not tolerate. And yet we all have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So what we need to do is go back to that woman and give her a hug and say, you did the best you could with what you had in that moment. But there
Yeah.
has to be healing work in between so that the next time it's not tolerated. Because you see women who over and over and over end up in the same relationship, just with different men with different faces, right? And so it's there's no healing being done. So yeah, when you're saying, is it about self-esteem? I think it's about a lot of things. I think it's about self-worth and self-esteem. I think it's about survival. I think for many women, they don't feel that they can leave because where are they going to go and how are they going to survive? Right. So that takes a lot of planning and coordination and skills growing and things like that to actually leave and go out on your own. So I think that a lot of women, and I don't blame them at all, stay in abusive relationships because they just don't see any other way that they could survive in the world. You know, they maybe don't have parents they can go back to. They maybe don't have siblings. They maybe don't have a best friend that lives 100 miles away that they could go hide there and recover. So I think that, you know, again, grace, we need to leave room for grace in these situations. But when somebody does leave and they don't do the healing work to make sure that they don't tolerate that again and they recognize it as soon as they see it, they just end up in the same relationship again. And it's just a cycle over and over and over because you hear about it. The kid who grew up and is now an adult and 17 abusive boyfriends in a row came through my front door and my mother tolerated all of them. So it's because there's no healing work to be done. That's being done. Sorry. There's no healing work being done. And then oftentimes women, I don't know about these days, but I know back in the day, there was probably a lot of financial benefit that it would be like, but he pays the bills, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff tied up in there and tangled up in relationships like that. But again, we're back to that, you know, who do we believe we are? We need to do the healing work to actually be the people we believe we would be in those situations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like you said, when a man or female is going through a really bad time, they've got no one to fall back on. Like you said, it takes a lot of planning, and it does take a lot of planning. And sometimes it's got to be the sort of planning that you've really got to be stealth about. You've got to maybe have some women I've heard of, or men even, have had to like hide burner phones, keep them on silent, plan months in ahead, go to these shelter places and say, look, I'm planning to, when they're out, I'm planning to go. I've got to plan this wisely because otherwise he could come home, see my bags packed and give me a good hiding. So it takes a lot of planning. I think a one good bit of advice I'll give to anyone having to go through that is try and be as stealth as you can and do your best to make sure if they do work, once you have that plan in place, get out while he's at work, because I made a very big mistake. I thought he was going to be an hour longer than he was. I had everything packed and I was walking out the door and he was walking up the stairs, and I couldn't, obviously I'm not going to say any more than that, but it's all about when you're in that situation, you in a way you've got to try and start the healing process as soon as you get in that your head, you're going, you're leaving, I'm worth more than this. That will not only give you how can I explain it, a will to keep going on. Yes, I'm doing this, I've got to do this, I've got to plan this, I've got to go for my kids, for myself, blah, blah, blah. But you've got to do it in a way where everything is, it doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you get out safely. And honestly, I've heard awful stories that some men and women are being tracked. They've got hidden cameras, you know, and they're really trapped literally in a prison. They just not free to do anything. And at the end of the day, some women or men have to just run with the clothes they have on their back. And it's so bad. But anyway, sorry, I'm just having a rant.
No, it's good. And I think you made a really good point in there, saying the healing has to start the moment you make the decision that you're going to get out of this, because you need to have the strength, the will, the self-esteem, the self-worth to actually fight to get out of it. I knew somebody who they were leaving an abusive relationship. This was decades ago, before we had cell phone trackers and Ring cameras and like cameras on our houses and things like this. So it was a little bit easier. But she got a storage unit, and while her husband was at work, she would take stuff from the house and lock it in the storage unit.
Yeah.
She hid the key, so he never knew about the storage unit. And things like the clothing. She just would take her winter clothing and put it in the storage unit. And if he ever noticed anything was made, she's like, yeah, just purging, just cleaning up, just decluttering, whatever. But what she was doing was hiding her survival, money and clothes and anything that she knew she would need the moment that she was walking out the door and not coming back. And, if somebody is in that situation now, see if you have a friend who can help you by the friend having the storage unit. And then you're just giving stuff away to my friend. I've outgrown these clothes. I'm just giving these things to my friend. And then the friend goes and puts it in the storage unit. And you slip the friend, an envelope of money to put in your storage unit. Obviously someone you trust, and they, or a sibling or something like that, because you have to have a plan in place with everything waiting for you at the end, or you have to accept you're leaving with your purse and what you're wearing, and maybe wear a few layers that day. So it's there's a lot to it. It's such a complex thing. And I always, people, the wife abusers, they're groomed. There's a lot of grooming. So that's what we're talking about here. That's the narcissist, is the grooming, being love bombed, the abuse, the devaluation process, the discard, the triangulation, all of it. That is, that's very much narcissist abuse there, for sure. For sure. Okay. Abusive security seems better than none. Yeah. Like if you've got a home and a roof over your head and you know that you wouldn't be able to make enough money to survive, that's a tough choice to make, but sometimes the choice is you have to stay.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah. And if you are preparing to go and you're very near that day, and you don't act excited, don't act any different to how you otherwise, they will sense something's going on. They're these people aren't stupid. Just act as you normally would.
Yeah, and apparently, like they do say, the police and everybody have said that the most dangerous moment is the moment you try to leave. Yes. That is the moment you will be killed, right? So you have to be like, I'm just going to get milk.
Mm-hmm.
We need milk in the morning. I'm just going to pop out and get milk. And just be super casual, something completely in your normal realm of habits and behaviors, and then just don't come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But have a plan, for your car. Have a plan for your car. Have a plan for your ID. Have a plan for your money, because the moment you use a credit card or a bank card, they know where you are.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, exactly. Or if it comes to a stage, I know this sounds a bit dramatic, but if it gets to a stage where your plan A isn't quite working out, have a plan B as well. And I would suggest that if you feel like you can't leave that day because he or she is in a bit of a weird mood and you don't want to risk it, text a friend, make up some story, get her to come round all in a fluster. Oh, I need your help with something. Something's happened, blah, blah, blah. That's your escape. That is your escape. You've already got everything out there. Get in her car and don't come back. That's your plan B escape, her or he. Or, you know what I mean? Sorry.
No, it's true. The friend, call me crying, call me hysterically crying. I have to come help you. You're in the hospital. I need to rush and help you. Yeah. And then
exactly. I know it's lying, but for someone's own safety, you have to do it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many movies made about it. Like what was the one, the Julia Roberts one, where she jumps off the boat and pretends that she drowned, but that she swims ashore, and she had this whole plan, and she pops up in this little village.
I can't remember the name of the film.
I can't remember either.
No, we'll think about it after. Yeah, it'll be typical, won't it?
Yeah, but then he finds her.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Yes.
I can't remember how he found her, but he did. He did.
No, that was a good movie, but it bugs me when I can't remember it now. I'm going to look on Google later on. If I look up all of her things, it will come up on it, and we'll be like, "Yep, that was it."
Like 3 weeks from now, I'll be like watching one of your lives, and I'll type in the name of the movie and be like, I remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was, yeah, there's all kinds of ways, and there's so many women out there who are helping other women leave these relationships, just with advice, even at the very least, like, oh, like something as simple as like the storage unit thing, or
Yeah.
you know, have your friend take your jewelry and your clothes and whatever, and just be like, oh, I'm just decluttering, you know, things like that. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of ways, but we just have to have the will and the fortitude and the strength to do it. And I see Sylvia jumped in. Hi, Sylvia.
Yeah, hi, Sylvia. Sorry if I didn't say hello earlier. Sorry. But yeah, I'm going to have to go in a minute. My dog's giving me that look, and she's making her, she does these, when she wants to go out, she'll start with, like little grunts. And then if I don't act quickly, she'll start barking. So I'm going to have to go in a minute.
For sure. But I think that really, you know, ultimately, you know, the gist of all of this today has been, you know, sleeping with the enemy. Thank you, Joe.
Yes, that's it. Why? How could we even forget that?
We didn't have to wait 3 weeks. We had Joe on the case.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
But just really, like, you know, if you're finding yourself constantly being tangled up with stuff, just check in with yourself and say, have I become addicted to the dopamine and the drama and everything I'm getting out of this?
Yeah, that's,
you know, are there places I could go back to myself and say, you know what, I was doing the best I could? And look at other people around you and say, are they doing the best they can? Because the answer is yes. We're all just doing the best we can.
Exactly.
You know, that's it. And not all of us are great at it. Not all of us are good at being humans. So we just have to say, you know, Joe's saying the ring down the toilet. Yes, she flushes the ring. Just saying, you know, like that person is doing their best, just like me. And let's just relax about it a bit. We don't always have to get super tangled up and upset about every little thing that happens.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but also know when it's time to walk away.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Blue shirt lady. Blue shirt lady. Blue shirt lady. So
oh, you're wearing a blue shirt, Avril.
Oh, is that me? Aw.
She is, isn't she? She is.
Tyler. I'm like, this blue shirt lady. Oh, I guess that's me. Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. Yes, Julia Roberts, Sleeping with the Enemy. There we go. We got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that again, actually, because I really enjoyed that last time.
When she messed up the towels just to mess them up?
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. She's such a good actor. I really like her. Oh,
Tyler, you're so sweet. Are you flirting with me, Tyler? I'm married. I have a husband.
Avril's been tested now. after all what she's been speaking about.
Yeah, here's the ringer.
Yeah. Oh,
awesome. Well, I need to go get dinner started for my men.
Yep.
And get on with my errands and everything tonight. So thank you so much for having me on. I've loved our conversation. I think that it was a lot of fun, and I hope that people got a lot out of it. I hope that there's some new perspectives and maybe some reframes that people are going to pick up on, and sort of ways to make their life easier and sort of, you know, help that healing journey along.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for popping on, Avril. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, guys, I'm just going to paste it again quickly.
Sorry, and Tyler's saying not flirting, just being nice. See how that works?
Yeah.
That's exactly how it works. So yeah, if you come over and visit me, say hello and let me know you were there so I can welcome you to my world. I love chatting with everybody. I have a whole bunch of videos coming up this week. It's just been a busy time, so I've got them all lined up to go out for the rest of the week. So there will be lots of stuff on my channel coming up.
No, thank you so much for coming in. I've really, really enjoyed that. And thank you so much, guys. Don't worry, Monarchy. Sorry, I nearly called you Maury there. I mean, God, what is wrong with me? I come up with all these random names. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming on. And sorry if I've missed to say like hello to anyone. I don't think I did, but thank you guys so much, and thank you for all your brilliant questions and answers and supporting each other in the chat as well. You've been brilliant. Thank you, Avril. It's been absolutely amazing. You are one lovely lady, and you're
thank you.
full of some brilliant advice. Thank you so much.
Well, I think you're wonderful too. And Joe, thank you so much for the compliment. That's very sweet. I don't want the call to end now. Everybody's saying nice things to me.
Yeah. Well, you can stay on if you want.
Well, I need to go too. So
yeah,
well, we'll do this again another time. Maybe later this year we'll do this again.
Yeah, it'll be good. Thank you so much again, Avril. I better go because she's oh, Bonnie, wait a minute. No, wait, don't you even think about it.
Oh,
look, yes, no, she's threatening to bark. And yeah, she's very clever, this greyhound. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you again, Avril. I will go, let you go as well, and I will see you soon. I've got to catch up on some of your videos as well.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff there. The father wound is a really good one. Go listen to that. We all have
brilliant.
it.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, thanks, Sylvia. Thanks, Luce. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Lucienne?
Yeah. Well, I'm Canadian, so I'm bilingual.
Yeah.
Oh, no, my husband's not the sleeping with the enemy type. No, not at
all. No, thank you guys so much. And you take care, Avril, and we'll speak soon, probably.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.